Good morning, everyone. It's Tess, and today is tip 220, and I'll do this quick because Doc V goes live at 9. I just wanted to make sure I got back on. My power's been out since the middle of last week. We had some storms come through here, and really most of my neighborhood is just now going back live. And trying to keep a charge on my phone was kind of rough, so I thought I better not spend a lot of time on the phone. But what I decided today is, ironically, I'm talking today about fear, like how to separate yourself from fear. And what has happened is over these past few days where I've been without power, I've been kind of going through some of the files that I have and some of the notebooks I have from the Doc V lives in the challenge. And I found one that was interesting to me because it's something I struggle with. And for anyone in the challenge with Doc V, this is day number 47. So it was April 16th of 2020, because we're in 2021 now. And he had a TED Talk, and the TED Talk was about Stoicism, and it was a Tim Ferriss TED Talk on Stoicism. But what they were kind of talking about is, do we live our lives in fear and never take chances because we live our lives in fear? And I guess historically that's been an issue with me, and it was talking about this gentleman, and he showed like one day he's really extremely happy and he suffers from bipolar, and a week later he's got a gun to his head. And it was talking about how sometimes we get caught up in fear. And this week has been a challenge because there has been no power, and people are very emotional and they're not nice to each other, and it's kind of wasted energy as far as, I guess I'm trying not to be that person that lives in that negative place all the time. And I use this time to kind of start to reorganize. I had to go into the office a couple of days because I had to get my quarterly filings done. Did I want to do it? No, because I still want to be remote. I want to be remote 100% of the time, but that's something I can work towards. I wore my mask just because I have young kids that live very close to me, and they're not of an age where they can be immunized, so I just want to be extra careful. No matter what anybody's beliefs are, I just want to take caution, because if somebody gets sick, I don't want to ever in the back of my head wonder if I gave it to them. So that's just me. Each person has to make their own personal decision. But I thought it was interesting in that this article I was reading about Stoicism and about living in that place of fear, because that is historically, I was analysis paralysis. I had to resolve every possible negative thing that could happen before I could move forward. And through working with Doc V this past year, I'm recognizing that I have to shoot, adjust, so that I'm making progress faster towards my goals, because life is a limited number of days. So I'm really excited to have been revisiting some of this. I re-listened to the TED Talk, but I'm going to also re-listen to Doc V's live. But what it kind of said is, when you can learn to decrease your emotional reactivity, it becomes a superpower. And I think that's so true. That's almost like Doc V will say, intellect high, emotions low. Well, he actually added that word superpower. When you can keep your emotional reactions low, it's a superpower. And I believe that's true. And I've seen it all around me the past week, because, even something as simple as I almost felt like I was going to be lynched in the office, because for my own purposes and to protect the children around me, I wore a mask just because I didn't want to carry a guilt. Well, halfway into the day that I was in the office, some other people were in because their power was out, and an email went out that in our state, they're requiring masks in public places. So an email went out that everybody had to wear masks. Well, prior to that moment, I was the only one wearing it. And I'm like, I swear to you, I didn't do it. But I could see the emotional reactions, and I think everybody has to live their best possible life. I'm not telling people how to live, and I guess I don't want them to tell me either. But it just made me realize when he said, it's a superpower to control your emotional reaction. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of us out there, myself included, who need to continue to work on that. So I guess I wanted to say that he had some exercises together where he would put a page together and he'd say, what if? And you could come up with a couple of items that you're facing in your life. And the first column of your what if is, what is your problem? Like, in his case, he was contemplating going on a month trip. He needed to walk away from his business because his relationships were suffering, and he found even his business was suffering because he had the fear of walking away from his business. Then you have a middle column of what can you do to prevent anything from happening if you go on this extended holiday. And then in a worst case scenario, if this thing that you're afraid of happening happens, what do you do to repair it? So it's just kind of like, it is that analysis where you can get into trouble for analysis paralysis, which is what I do. But what he used it for is a quick and dirty, here you go, here's the problem. Here's what I can do to try to prevent it. Worst case scenario, if it happens, this is what I'm going to do. Because it gave him the strength to walk away and go on this extended vacation. And in his mind, and what was kind of cool about it is he went on a 1 month extended vacation to Europe and didn't come back for a year and a half. And everything in his life, he said there were a few hiccups, but in all honesty, none of the big things that prevented him from going ever even happened. So what it kind of showed us is that we spend a lot of time worrying about something that's never going to happen. And I think I even revisited that in these past few days, that there have been no power. So there's no power. What am I going to do? I've been working on thinking through like a presentation I'm going to have to do in a couple weeks, and what I was going to put together that'll have to be put on the computer. Oh, that's Acro saying hello. So I just wanted to kind of touch base. One, I wanted to get back into the routine now that my power is back on. And two, I just wanted to kind of share that I am an analysis paralysis person, but this is kind of a good exercise. If you take a page and you define what your fear is, in the middle, come up with a couple ideas to prevent it. And then in the following column, worst case scenario, what can you do to repair it if it happens? Maybe it'll let you do more of what Doc V says and shoot, adjust, instead of being stuck in that analyze, never move forward. So I guess I'll let you guys go because I don't know. Well, hi, Karen. Good to see you. And this is from day 47 of the challenge. So any of us in the challenge, we can go back and look at the material. But I just found it so interesting that, especially me, with no power for, since the middle of last week, I have seen a lot of emotions, and I don't want to live in that place. And it was funny when I was going through my notes and trying to organize, because part of what I'm going to do too is every file that is here in my house, because I've been working remote, when they force us back into the office, it's all going back to the office. I'm not leaving it here, because in the most part we're going electronic. But I like this idea is if you can take one page, define what your fear is. That's Acro saying hello. He's missed you guys on these days that I couldn't go live. But just take that one page, and this is from day 47 at Doc V. Take one page, define what your fear is. In the middle, come up with a couple of ideas that you can put into place to prevent that issue that you identified, and then put some repairs together if in a worst case scenario it comes to be. And in his example, he was going away for a month because he realized he needed to regroup. He had to kind of decide who was going to run things for him while he was gone, how he's going to repair it if things went bad. He even said, like, what if the IRS contacts me? Well, to prevent it, he was going to send all mail to an accountant. If he had to repair it, he knew of an attorney that could help him figure out the steps if something went wrong while he was gone. So I think this is a good tool to try to overcome analysis paralysis. And it was a talk on Stoicism. But I thought it was a great thing, and I really enjoyed it. And it's reminded me that I've gained a lot of tools in the past year and a half, so I need to go backwards and start watching some of them and reviewing them. And then the other thing is I wanted to make sure I got live, because with no power and not being able to keep a charge on my phone, I've gotten away for the past probably 3 or 4 days with no lives. And I know that this is something I need to do to keep myself accountable, and I did tell the doc I would go live, and I don't want to fall into a pattern of not going live because I go live in his Transform group. So this is just my way of getting back to it, and I know he's going live any minute, so I better get off. But thank you guys for joining me, and it's nice to be back, and it's nice to have power again. Have a great day, and nothing but thanks for all the people out there who've worked nonstop for probably 4 or 5 days trying to get the power back, because we had over 400,000 people out. But my best to everyone, and I hope you all have an amazing, amazing Sunday. And as the doc says, slingshot forward. And thank you so much.